AMD is finally doing what it should have done all along, and I am ever grateful for it. Quibi is coming back. And the craziest CPU water block that you've ever seen. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your host, Dominic Toretto, and let's just talk about the hottest tech news that's out on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast with your family, because family is the most important thing, and the only thing more important than family is tech news. So let's jump right into talking about AMD and now confirmed documents of a leak from a hacker from Gigabyte, which shows that AMD finally, is going to have integrated GPUs on all of its CPUs coming out. I'm so excited for this. I don't know how to express my joy for APUs enough, all right? Integrated GPUs on AMD CPUs is where it's at. This is coming from leaked files from the Gigabyte hack, which shows that all of the AMD 5 processors are going to have some form of RDNA 2 GPU on the actual chip. This, however, does not mean that every single AMD CPU will have graphics enabled, very similar to how Intel sells their F CPUs, which simply denotes that, yes, it technically has an iGPU, but it's been disabled, whether it's just to product segment ties whatever's going on, or if because it's actually faulty and they couldn't actually implement it. So that might happen in the future, but more APUs coming from AMD is a good thing in my book. I love to see it. I love to see that we're going to get RDNA 2, which makes me incredibly happy. However, it does call into question a little bit about the next generation APUs that are supposed to launch early next year. I believe Raphael is the code name for that. We are not 100% sure what this is going to mean for the APU series, whether or not AMD is still going to have like a G lineup that's more focused on OEMs and desktops, which could help to explain some of the positioning that they've been doing, where they've been refusing to sell a lot of their APUs direct to consumer because they wanted to push those over to the actual OEMs and make it so that the consumer doesn't ultimately matter in any of this, which always frustrates me. Sell me the 5300G, AMD. Well, hopefully now I can get the 6700G aplenty. I would love to see this, or I could buy the 6700X and it's just gonna have graphics in it. All right, RDNA 2, I want it. Thank you so much. Also being indicated in this leak is that DisplayPort 2.0 likely will also come to these CPUs and have that enabled on graphics. However, again, with some of them having graphics disabled, not all of these chips are going to support DisplayPort 2.0, even though technically they can. Not 100% confirmed. This is obviously coming out from leaked documentation from AMD. We'll get more details as AMD rolls out the plan moving forward, and I'm sure Gigabyte is paying a hefty price by Lisa Su in the back room just getting yelled at. All right, Gigabyte, how could you be so unsecure? Intel's yelling at them from the other side. How could you do this to us? We haven't seen much from NVIDIA as of yet. It seems like most of it's on the CPU side. Maybe there's more to come from the Gigabyte leads. We'll keep you posted here on Hot News. And I want to keep you posted on today's episode sponsor of Hot News, my friends.
Today's episode of Hot News is sponsored by Endel. Endel is a backed by neuroscience patented technology that creates personalized soundscapes. It reacts to inputs like time of the day, weather, heart rate, and location, and it helps you focus, relax, and sleep. It has a few different modes, such as relax, which calms your mind to create feelings of comfort and safety. Focus, which can boost your productivity by helping you concentrate for longer periods of time, and sleep, which soothes you into a deep sleep with soft, gentle sounds. Endel could be great to try out if you're having a hard time focusing on your daily tasks, studying, or working, if you're suffering from stress or anxiety and you're struggling with being productive, or if you're having trouble sleeping and you feel tired or your sleep quality is not good enough. This is something that's incredibly important to me, and I have Endel on my phone. I use it while I'm working when I need to get into a deep work groove in order to make sure that I'm there. And as I mentioned, it reacts to different things that are going on in your day, from whether it's the weather, your heart rate, what's going on. Currently, it's telling me that my energy level is in a morning energy rise. So I put in my earbuds, I put on focus, and then I'm able to crank out work like I've never been able to before. And the best part is they're not just making the claims. They actually have done studies to back up the fact that the Endel app actually can help you with productivity as well as relaxation and sleep. And now they have a special content partnership with Alan Watts featuring snippets from two of his most popular lectures, World as Play and Pursuit of Pleasure. And the first 100 people to download Endel at the link in the video description will get a free week of audio experiences. You can check it out to help you relax your mind, focus on your work, and get eased into a deep sleep. I know that it's been helpful for me as I've been using it. Big thanks to Endel for sponsoring today's episode of Hot News.
And now let's go ahead and focus on the Cryptostonks update. Bitcoin sliding down just ever so slightly. It crested above $50,000 in the last 24 hours, but sitting right at 49,152 as of the time of filming. Ethereum up though 1.34% to be at 33.03. Not a bad number there. Dogecoin also down slightly to land at 31 cents. Meme stonks being up for 2 days in a row. What is this? Christmas? GameStop up 3.5% to close at 164.89. AMC closing up nearly 7%. I said down because I'm so used to it anyways, landing at 36.78. Meme stocks on an upward trajectory. Can they keep this going into September? Can they close out the quarter strong? Can they take all of the money from the hedge funds? We'll see where this goes as time moves forward. And I was waiting to see where SpaceX went with Starlink, and it turns out they went very, very fast. Elon Musk confirming on Twitter that they have shipped 100,000 terminals out to customers, which is a number that is honestly a lot higher than I thought it was going to be, especially since the rollout was supposed to be rather slow. It was kind of in beta as they were making it seem, but it appears that a lot of people got their hands on the Starlink internet. It would have been great to have this when my internet was out, but it's a $500 upfront fee and then $99 a month. I'm not sure I actually want this as like a backup. That's a lot of money to spend on a backup, but you only need a backup when you actually need a backup, so it's not necessarily such a terrible price to pay. Is anybody out in our audience using Starlink? Let me know in those comments. I want to hear from you. What's your experience been like? Is it overheating in the summer? Want to get your full rundown on what's going on with Starlink. Speaking of overheating, and by that I mean underperforming, and by that I mean swapping out parts to make it so that your thing that you got good reviews on sucks because you've now made all the money that you could from anyways. Segue, really bad, went on way too long. Western Digital's SN550 is now being reviewed and found out that they've swapped out the NAND, which makes it perform under half of what the original performance was. This is something that's actually been happening with a lot of SSD makers where they're swapping out parts after a lot of the reviewers got their hands on it. After users have built trust in this specific device, they're switching out some of the underlying components, not calling it a different name, and then letting the customers deal with the lesser performance of those parts. Linus actually covered this back in June, saying this should be illegal. Manufacturers are swapping SSD components. Looks like Western Digital is one of the latest to do so, at least with the SN550 in some of the Chinese versions of it. Whether or not this is rolling out worldwide, it's hard to say, but it makes it harder to shop as a consumer, not knowing whether or not you're getting the original NAND version of your SSD or you're getting the crappy NAND version of the SSD. And so what I always say is family. Family is the most important. And what was most important to me at one point was seeing the death of Quibi happen. And we are now here, my friends, months after this occurred, with them dying back in 2020, which was such a glorious day. Roku, however, bought their entire content library, and now they're bringing back a Quibi show. I don't care. I've never watched any of this. I don't know if it's good or not, but the fact that they're reviving it seems to indicate that there is some sort of audience that's there for it. Most Dangerous Game. Quibi show getting renewed for another season on Roku. I heard there was like some okay content on Quibi, but it was the audaciousness of Meg Whitman and the stupidity of the platform they were pitching that bothered me all along. And speaking of stupidity of a platform, let's talk about YouTube and how the partner program now has over 2 million members. YouTube that confirming that partners are the people who actually get paid for the content that they put out on the internet, and the rest of the people are the people that YouTube gets paid for putting content on there, which, to be fair, YouTube hosts all of the servers for it. Like, it is a free service for both the end user and the person who's uploading, so them taking some revenue for it, I'm not 100% against it. But in order to enter into the partner program, it got changed a while back that you needed 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours of watch time, and then you could get all of this money from YouTube, which is not a whole lot. They take 45%. You too, my friends, can join the ranks of us who have nearly half of our revenue taken directly from YouTube, but they provide, the audience and the infrastructure and all of that. So, you win some, you lose some. And Sony's PlayStation 5 is losing some pounds, or rather 300 grams, which honestly is getting close to a pound there, because they've updated the screw, and now it seems to be launching worldwide, where you have a 300 gram lighter PS5 thanks to this little screw and a different stem which has different clamps. And I want to clamp my hands on one of these bad boys. There's a new AIO CPU block that's coming out from Barrow, which has a 1440p screen on it with an HDMI input. Why do you need this? I have absolutely no earthly idea why a display that small, 2.9 inches, have to be 1440 by 1440, but it just does, okay? 700 pixels per inch to show you all of the data that you're gonna possibly want. I can't find it on sale anywhere. I would have snapped this up in a Beats diarrhea, but I can't at this point. I absolutely love the idea. I think it's ridiculous. Barrow, if somehow, some way you are listening here on Hot News, let me have one of these. I'll pay you for it, all right? You don't even have to send me a free review sample. I just want one, okay? This is absurd in all of the best ways. And it would be absurd for me to continue any longer, my family. Let's move on to you going to watch yesterday's episode of Hot News, where we covered 512 gigs of RAM in a single stick from Samsung. Absolutely crazy. Who am I gonna be your host for tomorrow? Let me know down below in the comments, and I'll see you then for breakfast. Cheerios.